Hey guys, Red Eye Gaijin here. Um, Today I'm going to talk about meeting your future in-laws in Japan. The scenario where you are a Gaikokujin girl or guy, and the experience of going and meeting the parents of your significant other for the first time. Now, I'm sure, there's a plethora of different things that happen and different families and, whether you're a guy or a girl and blah, 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 blah. But I'll let you know my experience. So, let me give you some background information. So, about my particular experience, I'd been dating my then girlfriend for about 7 years. So, it was a serious relationship. However, although I'd met my girlfriend's mother and sisters, and actually gone out and had lunch with them, the father had never been told, and this was basically because they were a little bit scared of telling him of how he'd react, and also, if there are 3 sisters in this family, and none of them had ever told the father that they'd had a boyfriend in their lives. Okay, they were all in their late 20s or 30s at the time this happened. So anyway, basically, the father was going to be told for the first time that one of his daughters had a boyfriend, and B, that she was going to marry this guy who was me. And on top of that, I wasn't Japanese, and I certainly wasn't Japan-born Korean, as he is. So there are quite a few issues that could, potential issues that could potentially make things difficult for me and him from the outset. Anyway, so how this worked was, the fact that I existed was first brought up by my girlfriend and mother at the same time, talking to the father. I wasn't there at the time, of course, and this was sort of, they'd caught him in a good mood, and they'd brought it up then. And then during that same conversation, they proposed a meeting time and day that we all get together and I meet him for the first time. So I wasn't there, so I don't know what his initial reaction was firsthand, but I heard he basically he was a little taken back, and he just started shooting questions. Is he Japanese? Is he Korean? Blah, 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 blah. And they were like, well, no, actually, he's Australian. Anyway, the next sort of thing was that he sort of set his ideal day, time and place to meet, and this was this was going to be in the city. So I was in Osaka, so it was going to be in number, in a posh hotel, or relatively high standard hotel. It's actually the Swiss hotel in just near Number Station there, and we were to meet in the lobby. So and basically it was going to be a 30-minute kind of meeting. And so this, as I was sort of learning more and more about the nature of what this meeting was going to be, I was getting a little bit nervous because it was becoming quite formal, and because this was the first time that I was doing something that I consider in my social life in Japan rather than my work life, and it was almost more formal than or as formal as a lot of what I had experienced in my work life. I did get initially a little bit annoyed, and it was really because it was I was being told that I had to buy a new suit for the occasion. This was a suggestion from my girlfriend and her family. So it was very much putting me in my place from the outset. But anyway, I got over it quickly, and basically, so I'll fast forward now to how it actually played out. So I arrived early. It was an 11 a.m. meeting, and I sort of sat there nervously in the lobby about 20 minutes early, and with about 10 minutes to go before 11, my now wife and her mother, they arrived, and we're all sitting down and talking. Everyone looking as nervous as each other. So I think the mother was nervous about whether he'd like me or not, and of course my wife and I were nervous for the obvious reasons. But and then he sort of turned up about 11:05, and he was also wearing a suit. And basically he sat down and he began to he sort of looked at me and then started talking about, he was actually giving me compliments, basically on just superficial stuff like he's handsome, blah blah blah. Obviously I was quite a bit younger than I am now, so I could be mistaken for being handsome back then, or maybe his eyesight was just bad. But the other things he would say were like he'd sort of he started sort of drawing upon his knowledge of not foreigners, but he spoke a bit about New Zealand, funnily enough, because he'd although he'd never met anyone from Australia before, he'd sort of apparently had thoughts about retiring to New Zealand, and that was his sort of closest draw card. But then that gradually turned into a more direct interview almost. So he started asking me about my parents, what they do, what I do, explain my company, blah 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 blah, and what kind of sports I liked and things like that. And I had to sort of try and lie a bit that I liked golf more than I do. But he did like that I was a soccer player or a football player, and he also, I guess, what was a bit unique to this situation was he started to tell me a bit about himself, and what was happening was he was telling me about his experience, of moving between Japan and Korea as a Zainichi Kankokugen. And it was actually quite similar to my grandfather's experience between Australia and Italy. My heritage on one side's Italian. So that was another sort of little acceleration of the bonding, sharing those stories. And then before I knew it, 5 minutes had passed and he had had enough, and basically he left on his own, and I was left there discussing how we thought it went with my girlfriend and her mother there for the next half an hour or hour or so. So it was quite formal. I had to buy a new suit. Very much there was a kind of formula to the conversation. It was all in Japanese, of course. So I don't know how it would have gone down if if I couldn't get the grasp of what he was asking me, or if someone had to liaise between, for each question, it probably would have been okay, but it could have been a little bit different. I don't know. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you guys. So yeah, what about you guys? Have you met your future in-laws or your current in-laws? And was it this kind of dramatic or not? Let me know. Cheers. Red Eye Gaijin.